Welcome in to another Running with the Timberwolves podcast. Yes, we made a little bit of a change. We are now running with the Timberwolves on the Believe Sports Network. My name is Gabe Anderson, doing it solo tonight because we got to talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves. But before we start, make sure to give us a like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whichever one you are listening on. We're trying to get to 300 subscribers. We're trying to go to the moon. Help us get there. And one thing that would really help, tell one friend that's enjoying this Minnesota Timberwolves run about our podcast, and give them a place where they can learn about the Wolves a little bit, give their opinions, chat with us in the chat. By the way, if you got a question, make sure to put it in the chat as well, and we'd love to answer some of them. So, Minnesota Timberwolves, things are looking up. They hold a serve against the Phoenix Suns in pretty spectacular fashion, I should say. A great win for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Really an all-around win for the Timberwolves. And this makes 2 games in a row where they've held the Phoenix Suns over 100 points. Now, here's an interesting stat. The Phoenix Suns have had 7 games this year where they've scored under 100 points. 3 of them were against yours truly, the Minnesota Timberwolves. What a great defensive performance by the Timberwolves. And here's another stat which will bode well for the Timberwolves. You know they have an awful postseason record. We know all that. But historically, not that bad. We're actually 6-7 in franchise histories in game 3s. And I'll give you another stat which will encourage you as well. Teams that lead a series 2-0 in NBA history have a 3-14-27 series record. So history is on our side. And where you got to start with this one is Jaden McDaniels. Has the game of his career. And not only on the offensive end, but we'll start with it. 10 for 17, 25 points, 2 for 4 from behind the three-point line, also brought down 8 rebounds. And Jaden got to the rim at will. The interior defense for the Phoenix Suns just was not there at all. It was an awful showing for the Phoenix Suns because just straight line drives and guys like Nurkic and Eubanks just did not cut off driving lanes, and Jaden took advantage and went right to the rim. I think he had some like 4 or 5 dunks. And that's what I love to see, aggressive at Jaden McDaniels. And then you got to talk about the defense that Jaden McDaniels helped anchor. I mean, this guy is an absolute animal. I think playoff Jaden McDaniel is engaged because the defense on Durant, Booker, and Beal, they shot 18 for 45, 40%, 3 for 12 from 3. And a lot of that is on Jaden McDaniels. And another guy that can actually play pretty good perimeter defense when he needs to. I'm not talking about interior defense. We know he can play interior defense, is the guy that should win Defensive Player of the Year. Rudy Gobert. You can trust him. If he gets on a Durant or a Booker on the perimeter, you can trust that he's going to play pretty good defense. I think he's one of the best 7-footers I have ever seen at playing perimeter defense. I've really never seen anyone in memory better at playing perimeter defense for a 7'2" guy. Outstanding. And he's hitting his free throws. Rudy Gobert in his last 8 playoff appearances shot 54% from the free throw line. He's shooting 85% in these playoffs. So he's hitting clutch free throws. He's getting it done from there because that's always been the thing on Rudy Gobert. I don't want to say hack-a-shack, but teams would play him out. And I think a lot of it, like Chris talks about, is the Utah Jazz had some horrible perimeter defenders. which caused Rudy Gobert to be on an island, and he can't take on two guys by himself most of the time. But he is showing his worth in these playoffs, and he's just been awesome. And on the offensive end as well, 18 points, 9 rebounds, 6 for 7 from the free throw line, and he is just killing the Phoenix Suns, even on a day where Anthony Edwards goes 3 for 12. That's the thing. It's not like we crazy outshot the Suns in this one. We just played better, holding on to the ball and playing perimeter defense. I mean, both teams shot an identical 35 for 78 from the field, 44%. We only made one more three than them, and yet we won by 12. And where this game was won was points off turnovers, an astounding 31-2. How many games do we see the Timberwolves just get killed on points off turnovers? They're turning over the ball, and the other team is off and running. Not against the Phoenix Suns. Not against the Phoenix Suns. We are turning it around. And everyone was saying at the beginning of this series, oh, the Suns are a horrible matchup for the Wolves. How about the Wolves are a horrible matchup for the Phoenix Suns? Think about this. Who is good at guarding a guy like Kevin Durant? A long-armed defender with length. Who do we have? Jaden McDaniels. Who frustrates Devin Booker on the perimeter? Who can frustrate him? A aggressive guy like Anthony Edwards. Who can frustrate Nurkic and Eubanks? A guy like Rudy Gobert. Who's a great perimeter defender and a guy like Bradley Beal? Someone like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think we have the pieces to get this done. I think there was way too much hoopla put in, oh, the Wolves got killed in the 3 games that they played them. Remember, guys, those are on back-to-backs and one night of rest, and one of the games Phoenix needed to win to avoid the play-in. So just a masterful performance out of this Minnesota Timberwolves team. And I thought a huge performer was Mike Conley. He had some big shots when Phoenix in the second quarter were starting to make a little bit of run. I think he had like 14 points in the second quarter. He and Jaden McDaniels kept us in that game. In a game where Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns combined for 25 points. Jaden McDaniels, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert stepped in and got it done. And it is just so much fun to watch this team. I would love to go into Phoenix and just smash them, take their will in game 3. And this is coming from a guy who has tickets for game 5. I don't even care. I would rather the Wolves just go in and kill them than chance a game 5, although it would be fun to do it at home. I wonder if we're going to get a Anthony Edwards, if we do clinch it at home, an Anthony Edwards on the table moment, a la Kevin Garnett when he beats the Denver Nuggets, waving a towel and pumping the crowd up, or a la Patrick Beverley, the person that we don't mention on this podcast too much because let it die, let it die. But a moment where Patrick Beverley is taking off his jersey, flexing to the crowd, because it would be a big moment. I know maybe like they did when we won the play-in against the Clippers, maybe NBA pundits will be like, oh man, look at the Wolves celebrating nothing. But no, this would be a big deal to win a first-round series, even if you're the favored team, because it hasn't happened since 2003. We haven't had a playoff success in years, and a little bit of success would be huge for this franchise. I mean, Mike Conley hasn't gotten to the second round in years. Rudy Gobert, it's been a few years for him as well. Anthony Edwards has never been to the second round. Nickeil Alexander-Walker has never been to the second round of the playoffs. Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, who we'll talk about in a second. I'm not going to let Naz Reid win 6th Man of the Year and not talk about it. I am absolutely going to talk about it. But all these guys haven't tasted success in the playoffs other than Conley, who got it years ago, at least recently. And I think I want this more for Conley than anyone else. I know I saw some interviews talking about Conley, and he was like, hey, play for me. play for me, play to my level. And that play where the ball was going out of bounds and Mike Conley, a 36-year-old, mind you, laid out and absolutely dove for the ball as far as full extension as he could and tipped it to Rudy Gobert. That is showing, hey, I'm 36 years old, but I got a little bit left in the tank. I want a championship. And that's exactly what Mike Conley shows. Even in game one, where he wasn't playing that well statistically from the field, he still got it done and was aggressive. I want to see aggressive Mike Conley. I think that's what we've seen from the Wolves in general, is aggressive Wolves. Even if they get a foul here and there, they're aggressive on the perimeter. They're not playing back. They're being the attacker. They're being the hunter, not the hunted. You're seeing Anthony Edwards getting all in Devin Booker's grill. You're seeing Nickeil Alexander-Walker getting all in Devin Booker's grill. It's been awesome to see, and I want to see more of that. I want the ferociousness of this team to continue in game two, because I do believe there's going to be a game where the Phoenix Suns start hitting. I really think they're going to hit some shots. I think they're too good not to. Or the other scenario is, have the Suns given up? I'm seeing a lot on the Suns Reddit, and obviously this is fans, this isn't the team. I'm seeing a lot on the media around the Phoenix Suns saying, hey, this is how we're going to trade Booker. This is how we're going to trade Durant. They're almost ready to blow it up. Now, I do think it's a whole new venue. We're in Phoenix. It's a tough place to play. I actually hate, and you'll see it, I hate where they put the cameras in Phoenix. I think they're too high. They're a little annoying, but we'll have to deal with that as fans. If we could get 2 wins there or 1 win there, I'll be happy. So anyway, this is going to be a whole new adventure, winning on the road. I saw a stat where we have like on road playoff games, we have a below 0.2 20% win percentage. It's like 0.169. So we have not been good on the road in playoff series in our franchise history, but hopefully we can turn it around here. And that's what I want to see. Keys to the next game is got to be Mike Conley. He's got to keep bringing it. He's got to keep hitting clutch threes and being the calming presence when things go awry. There were some times this year where Mike Conley would kind of go in the background and wouldn't be aggressive and wouldn't attack the basket. This is not the Conley we are seeing in these games. Also, Anthony Edwards, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jaden McDaniels, keep the pressure on. Full force on these guys. Put the pressure on them to score. That's what I want to see out of the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 2. And we got to mention it lastly, but definitely not least, congratulations, Naz Reid on Sixth Man of the Year, the first Sixth Man of the Year in Timberwolves history. You got to love it. Congratulations to him. Undrafted out of LSU to Sixth Man of the Year. I can only think of someone. There's a small group of people who go undrafted and make it. I'm thinking like a Fred VanVleet. But man, Naz Reid, how much do they love Naz Reid here in Minnesota? A lot. And I will say he did get helped. Malik Monk got hurt at the end of the season. I think that hurts Malik Monk's chances. And if you look at it, Malik Monk's actually started or come off the bench more games than Naz Reid total this year, because of course Naz Reid, when Karl Anthony Towns went out, went to the starting lineup. But just congratulations, Naz Reid, and hopefully there's more to come. I'm talking coach of the year, I'm talking defensive player of the year. That would just be amazing. Anyway, we will keep covering the Wolves-Suns series. We are so excited to do so. This is our favorite time of year. And how many times do the Wolves, when it's April or May, have nothing to play for? Now we got everything to play for, and we'll keep covering it. So stay tuned with Running with the Wolves on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and on YouTube. We're going to be putting out tons of content. We can't wait for the run. And as always, go Wolves.